Hi there. Welcome to another After School Tech Tips with the Tips team. My name is Bernice, and today we're going to be talking about AI in education. Specifically, if you've heard of ChatGPT or if you haven't, that is what we're going to be talking about today. So, before we get started right into ChatGPT, I wanted to show you first the information sheet that we've created. This can be found on Connect. If you go on Connect and you search ChatGPT or you search AI in education, you will come across this document right here. And as you can see, it goes through kind of what ChatGPT is, what you need to know, division presentations, and any articles of note. Before we jump into this, I do want to remind you that ChatGPT does collect a lot of data from ChatGPT users. Um, if you are planning to use this with students, please note that they must be at least 13 years old in order to use it, as well as have parental permission in order to use this. Before you ask your students to use ChatGPT, if you are planning to do so, please read over the privacy policy and terms of use and ensure that they can opt out. So parents can, of course, then go ahead and pull their child out if they don't feel comfortable having that data collected and shared as outlined in the policies. Another piece to note then is that ChatGPT is not always trustworthy and that it can make stuff up. So please note that anytime you're using ChatGPT, whether you're using it to help brainstorm things in class or create writing prompts or create review questions or anything like that, all of those pieces you should be using your professional judgment for, and it can help you kind of with that brainstorming piece, but you're going to ultimately refine it to make it work best for you in your classroom. All right, so as you can see here, we can head into ChatGPT. If you click on Try ChatGPT, that is going to bring you right in if you've already logged in with your account. Otherwise, it will ask you to log in or sign up if you don't have an account ready. Those limitations that I discussed earlier are sitting here, also has the capabilities of it, as well as some examples that you can click on to see how it works. So ChatGPT, like I mentioned, can be used to help brainstorm and prepare for a lesson or can be used with students. So let's see what it can do. One of the things that it can do is, like I said, it can help brainstorm review questions, for example. So let's say, for example, you want to create review questions about ecosystems for a 7th grade classroom. You can go ahead and type that in and it's going to start creating those review questions. Now, let's say as we take a look at these, I'm going to press stop generating because I'm starting to see that there are a lot of what questions. And actually, I'm really liking the how questions that are in here. So instead, I might say something like create the questions above using the word how at the beginning. So now we're going to start to take a look at how. So how would you define an ecosystem? How are the components of an ecosystem interrelated, right? And we're starting to bring those questions a little bit higher up instead of a what into a how. Say you're looking for a reading passage at a specific reading level. Now, again, please make sure that you are considering your professional judgment and your understanding as well, as ChatGPT will do its best, but it might not be right for your students. So you have to take a look at that. So, for example, you might do something like write a reading passage about the desert at a 2nd grade level. And so it might then begin writing out the sentences, and then you could use that as a reading passage if that works or not. It can also help with things like writing prompts and things like that. So let's say I say provide 3 writing prompts to be used in a grade 6 classroom. And then you have some reading prompts that could help you with some brainstorming. You can ask for specifics. So the more information you give it, the more information it has to kind of create its answer to you. Another piece that ChatGPT can do too is it can also do translations. So you can be like, translate this sentence, I would like to eat some food, into Spanish. And again, it will then go ahead and translate this into a variety of different languages. Again, make sure you're testing this, make sure you're checking this, because as we remember earlier, ChatGPT can make things up and is not always trustworthy. Again, if you're looking at examples or anything like that, you can always go ahead and say, provide a specific example of globalization, for example, within the music industry. Type that in, and then again, you're going to see their answer that shows up. So as you can see here, there's lots of things you can do with this. If you're brainstorming for a lesson and you're stuck somewhere and you're like, I need an example, I need a good example, you could go ahead and try out ChatGPT and see if he'll give you a good example to make things more relevant for your students. You could have it help you with review questions, right? Or if you're using this with your students, you can have your students also use it to help create questions. Now, of course, if you are planning on using this with students, please consider talking to them about the ethical use of artificial intelligence, right? At what point do we trust it? At what point are there biases? When should we be using this? When should we not be using this? Right? So all of those different pieces that should be taken into consideration when using a platform or a tool like this. Okay. Now, as you learn about this, you might be asking yourself right now, well, what am I supposed to do then if students are using this to create essays and things like that? Well, remember that, of course, we do have the option of secure exams within our division. We also have locked Google Forms, and of course, you can also use paper and pen. Version history in Google Docs is a wonderful place to check for authenticity. So version history, you can see, did they copy and paste everything in, or did they type in word by word as they were going? Is it your student's voice, or is it in line with previous assessments? And of course, having those conversations with students to really check for authenticity and recognizing if it truly is your student's voice or your student's ideas. You'll see as well there are 3 tools. So if you Google those as well, text can be taken from a student work, copied and pasted in, and then it might actually check, whether the text is likely to be written by AI or not, and that can help as well. So I hope that helps. If you have any more questions, as I mentioned, there is that wonderful document on Connect to go check out. So if you type ChatGPT or AI in education, you can get that. And otherwise, I hope that helps. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, check back for weekly videos, and if you have any questions at all, connect with the TIPS member for your school, and if you're not sure who it is, check out tips.epsb.ca, and you can go ahead and contact them. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.